I want to build a house. And he just mailed me a hammer. I mean, that's literally what these AI tools and these automation tools do. They do nothing but give you the tool. And they're like, all right, good luck. If you don't have an expert that is going to set it up for your business, you're going to run into a lot of problems and you'll get discouraged very quickly and you'll probably just call it off.
You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan England, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit hiring system, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ryan England. Today's guest is going to talk to us about how service contractors can really take their business to the next level by integrating the right systems, by incorporating AI, and making sure that we are taking care of our customers every step of the way. Now, he's not just another software engineer. Greg Cayea is the founder and CEO of FunnelPros, soon to be Nonstop Automation. And in his story today, you will learn some of the tips and tools that are helping contractors achieve goals they never thought possible. All right, get ready to take some notes. Greg, welcome to the show.
Ryan, it's my pleasure.
I'm excited to talk to you today about everything you got going on. But before we get into that, could you introduce yourself to our listeners? And you actually have something you're very proud of. I found it everywhere. You're actually a Guinness World Record holder. So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Well, one day in LA, I decided I wanted to finally put this book out that I've been working on my entire life. And I thought before I do that, I should have someone to sell it to. And I thought, how do I build an audience very quickly? And since there are loose ties to travel, I thought I would break a Guinness World Record for the longest road trip. That was like the one I found that I really wanted, right? Because I grew up on the road, and so we spent 122 days on the road doing 36,123 miles in my Subaru Outback with my ex-girlfriend, and and then we held it for 7 years. We ended up in the book. We've been online from day one, and it's all over. So even the person that stole the record from us, not stole it, broke it. He earned it. It's like totally. He's just totally drowned out by the amount of press that's like all over. Like Heather and I's, me and Heather's, the amount of like publicity we did for it. But I'm Greg. I started FunnelPros. That's why I'm here. Soon to be Nonstop Automation. By the time you hear this, that might have already happened. I mean, the way I ended up, why I'm here and how I ended up here is just because, throughout my years of being a writer, I always had to market my own writing. That made me very good at marketing, and marketing eventually led to automation, which eventually led to AI. And then I just discovered that writing code and I don't write code, but like designing blueprints and writing the structure for systems is something that I absolutely love. And
Nice.
we had to pick a market, and we decided to start with home services, or start and end. I don't think we're going outside of that anytime soon.
So you might have already answered this, but I just want to know a little bit more. So what was that moment where you said, hey, funnels, like that's what I want to do? Like, what was the genesis for that?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to build these Rube Goldberg machines in my parents' basement, and I loved it, man. Like, I love when one thing makes another thing happen. I love when the starting, a trigger, as it's called in, automation talk, can result in like 40 actions. Like, to me, that's like so fun. And when I brought that online as an adult was probably when when I learned of Infusionsoft, now I think is Keep.
Yep.
But that was the first time I really started messing around with automation. And I mean, that must have been in like 2010, I want to say, or 2011. And yeah, that was the question, right? Like, how did I get into it? When did I learn about fun? Oh, right. And and then a mixture of that with like, kind of, doing a lot of like, learning a lot from like Russell Brunson, and it just kind of, intrigued me that like, okay, here's a really cool way to earn a living. And
Mm.
I just kept trying to make it better and better and better and better. And eventually, we kind of ended up in like just completely developing like development and like, systems rather than like these top end funnels that actually get leads, into the system. The systems actually are where we saw the money, like really kind of,
Yeah.
so many needs being ignored.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
sure there's some people that are thinking, what the heck is a Rube Goldberg machine? So could you describe that for them real quick?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Rube Goldberg was a cartoonist back in the day. I don't remember the year. I don't want to say the year because I'll probably be wrong on that. But he used to make these cartoons that basically showed like, a guy like, swinging a boot that hit a ball, that knocked into a book, that swung a pipe across the room, that, lit a candle, that like, and the eventual outcome was something super silly, right?
Yeah.
Uh, like, pouring milk into a bowl of cereal, right? And it's like, oh, I could have just poured the milk into the cereal, but nope, he wanted to like just make it as long and drawn out as possible. And if you watch like these other shows like Domino Kings, like there's a million shows now that reference Rube Goldberg. I mean, Rube Goldberg machines. I mean, I'm sure a lot of your listeners have gotten sucked into watching YouTube videos and just watching those like, amazing domino kind of effects that do a million things. That's who Rube Goldberg is, and that's what a
Yeah.
Rube Goldberg machine
Yeah.
is.
I've seen Dude Perfect do some of them on YouTube. I remember, I'll never forget, there was a Honda commercial at one time where they did it with all car parts. And the whole point was it pushed the button to start the car at the end. Like that was the whole thing it did. For 30 seconds, you're watching this commercial, like, where are they going with this? And it starts the car.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, every machine you deal with is a Rube Goldberg machine, right? Um, the irony is just that it's you're usually building machines to accomplish something quite difficult,
Yeah.
um, and not simple. But at its core, a Rube Goldberg machine is just the interior workings of any machine you have ever seen. Right? One
Mm.
thing does another thing that does another thing that does another thing that does another
Which
thing.
is the perfect analogy into a funnel. Like you did trigger, does this, does this, maybe it delays and then does this. So you told me before we started recording that you focus a lot on the home services industry, that residential services, contractors, helping them with creating these funnels and ultimately, I'm assuming, get more customers. So when you're thinking about that industry, what are the unique marketing challenges that industry faces that the funnel helps solve?
Well, it's different depending on what type of home service you're in. But let's say you're in one of the skilled trades. You've got a large database, right? Let's say you got 10,000 people in Service Titan or House Call Pro or whatever you're using. There are a million things happening. There should be a million things happening. What usually ends up happening is very few things are happening. So, for instance, you have a lot of customers. When was the last time you talked to them? You know, do they remember who you are? That's the biggest challenge that I think home service companies have, is if you go to your neighbor and say, "Who's your plumbing company?" I bet 9 out of 10 of them don't even know the name. Like nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
People are used to running businesses that are like on demand, just as I put it, like, they'll wait for someone to have a problem.
Yeah, I have to go to my fridge and look at the magnet or open the electrical panel and look at the number they left or the garage door, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
What?
can't tell you how many times I've called a different HVAC company just because, like, when I need something, I just Google HVAC,
Yeah.
and then I just call the first company that pops up. I don't care, right? That's not the case with our clients. Like, They are a contact in everyone's phone. But to get back to the original question, which is like, what are the problems that we're really solving? I mean, there's millions of, a lot of these systems, they pick up when a job is booked or an appointment is scheduled. Well, what about all of the lead sources, right? You're spending all this money on advertising. What's going on there, before the appointment is set, right? There's all sorts of things. Somebody comes in through Angie, you need to nurture them this way. Somebody comes in through a web form, they need to get nurtured this way. There's all sorts of things that are happening that need to happen before an appointment is set. And now what happens when an appointment is set? There's all sorts of stuff that could be happening that's usually not, right? Really, really kind of indoctrinating the lead or soon to be customer with everything about you. I mean, really personalizing and humanizing yourself. After an estimate, let's say you come over to my house and you fix my water, you fix my water spigot, or you clear my drain, and then you give me an estimate on a water heater. What do you do then? You just send me a review, or do you follow up on the water heater? Who's going to follow up on the water heater? Is it going to be the technician that came over? Is it going to be the office manager? Is it manual? Like what, and what happens if that estimate has been outstanding for over 10 days or 20 days? Do they just sit there? Or who's going to move it? Right. And what happens, like, when a job is complete? What happens when, are we automating the review, the referral, the membership program process? What happens when somebody signs up for a membership program? Who's reaching out to them? Are you just waiting for people to call and then asking if they're a member? So all of these things, there is no A to Z solution that I know of other than us right now that really handles the complete lead management of every aspect of a business in the home service sector, like we do, utilizing the technology that is available.
Yeah, I think you answered the question too. Like, it's incredibly complex. I mean, it's not just the phone rings and we answer it or we don't answer it. There are a million different variations and different ways it could go depending on the customer, their needs, the text, your systems, everything. And so the funnel helps solve that by automating a part of this process. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would call it more of like a system than a funnel, right? I mean, like, which is a big reason we're rebranding, right? Because a funnel doesn't really articulate what we do. Of course, a funnel to me is a made up word from, like, the early, like, digital marketers like Ryan Dice and all, Russell Brunson and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just redefine it any way you want. But yeah, yes, there are all sorts. When somebody calls your office, there are like 5 branches that somebody could go down. They book an appointment. They say they'll call you back without their info in the system. They say they'll call you back with their info in the system. They cancel, right? They ask questions without giving you any info, right? There's all sorts of branches that we solve for, right? This is what happens when it's a missed call. This is what happens when somebody calls and books an appointment. This is what happens when somebody calls and starts to book an appointment and then they gets discouraged because of a dispatch fee. This is what happens when somebody gives you half their information. So there's all sorts of things that need to be addressed, and that's only at the phone call, right? There's like 70 other things that we're solving for, putting them down this maze that just really is like a Rube Goldberg machine, really just like walking them through every step of the process, no matter what the next step is for them to take, figuring out a way to propel them forward.
So you had mentioned early on in this that the systems that we build, you're starting to incorporate AI, and there's a lot of talk about AI. So how does AI play into this? How is AI helping these contractors solve this problem?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are so misinformed about AI, and it's mostly because of, I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I mean, people just don't really. Not people. I don't want to generalize here. It's not like we're building AI models, right? Nobody is, okay, except for OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, DeepSeek. Okay, these are like models, right? But it takes millions of dollars to develop a model, and you don't need to develop a new model; they already exist. It's the integration and the use cases that we're really trying to solve for. So essentially, like the Internet of Things, right? Like somehow getting this AI into what we're currently using on a day-to-day basis. What we use it primarily for is analyzing a customer in a database and crafting messaging based off of that, of who they are and the history that's in there in the database, and handling replies, right? I mean, like, and scheduling them, right? Into the calendar. But the only thing is, an AI is only as good as chit-chatting back and forth and analyzing. It can't book an appointment unless there is an API, right? Like, unless there's some code that's been built out to then maneuver this contact in ServiceTitan or House Call Pro or Jobber or whatever people are using, GHL. So it's coming up consistently with new integrations on how to integrate AI into different parts of the process. We primarily use it for scheduling and for customer service. There's also chat AI, there's voice AI, there's different types of AI bots that you can have at different parts of the journey with different goals.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that a lot of the media has really made us think that AI is Terminator, right? The precursors to Terminator. And the more I spend time with AI, the more I realize it's got so far to go. But if you're really good at getting it to do one thing, it can learn to do one thing really, really well. But what I've learned is the second you ask it to do something that nobody's trained it how to do, it can become a real challenge. But it sounds like you guys are training it to be a part of this system, to work on scheduling or to work on follow-up communication or to work on reminders, or like you're training it to do those things really, really well. So it takes that burden of the checking the box, yeah, I followed up today, off of the contractor and their staff and putting it into the system. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yeah. And even like what you mentioned with like Terminator, like that's AI integrated with robotics, right? So like, and that's the use case that Terminator had, right? To like military work, like it's like an AI integration with like a military, use case, essentially, right? But the Terminator, that's a robot, and and it's operating off of an operating system. I mean, not that this Terminators are a real thing, and within that operating system might be AI, right? It could, for all we know, it could be hand coded logic, just using like different, very, very kind of complex algorithm. But yes, like we basically say, okay, AI is really good at replying to people, conversing with people, right? These large language models, and also analyzing, and it's really good when you give it a goal. So when you give it a goal, then you have to figure out what are all the things that could possibly go wrong here. And then you have to then put it into the prompt, or, basically train the AI so that you're taking all of those things into consideration. So unless you're going into it really narrow, it's really hard to foresee all of the things that could go wrong. So all those things have to be solved for first before using it.
Wow. Yeah, I think I think there's definitely use case for AI, and I like that you're incorporating this system. So I'm sitting here thinking as a contractor, and I know a lot of contractors, big, small, everybody in between. They're like, this sounds awesome to have this system to do all of this stuff. And I may or may not have a list already in ServiceTitan, or even a clean list. How do I put new people into this system? Like, what's the best way to do that? Because I know a lot of experts will say, you just got to advertise a lot, or you just got to get lots of referrals, or what have you found in the work that you're doing with your clients what's the best way to put new people into the funnel?
Yeah, advertising. Not a sexy answer. That's it. That is the one way to get people into your funnel, right? And and SEO is great, but it's not scalable, right? I mean, like, basically SEO, what is it? I mean, it's basically figuring out a way to cooperate with the search engine's algorithm, right? But that's not a scalable means of growing a business. If you want to grow a business, you have to be able to pour money into something and get some sort of a return. So advertising is fairly fruitless unless you have a very robust backend system that's going to convert them. And if you don't, a lot of people will complain about advertising. And yeah, because you don't close every deal right away. Also, if contractors in general, from what I have learned, I mean, you're using very contractory lead sources, Angie, Thumbtack, maybe Nextdoor, focusing on SEO, focusing on, LSA, all of these things. And I think the reason that a lot of contractors don't use Facebook ads, and I mean, which is basically the other half of the market, the other half of the inventory, other than traditional media and direct mail, is Facebook, right? They own all of it. Is because these are not people that are in a hurry to solve something. So that's why a lot of people don't spend money, promoting a service business. It doesn't do very well unless you are prepared to not see that return for quite a while, right? But if you are prepared to not see that return for quite a while, I mean, that's how you really, because it all works together, right? Like Facebook ads work, the more that people, come in and go to your website and go to your Facebook profile, your socials grow. People go from your profile to your website. That sends signals to Google. Then you get higher, better search rankings, which give you better ad ranking. I mean, so it's all kind of working together. And the best thing, there's only two ingredients that really need to get done to really blow up a business. And that's the one, have a backend system that's going to take care of all new leads and existing customers and nurture them. And a massive ad spend. That's all you need. Like that's what we do.
That's it. It's simple. I love it.
That's all you need. That's all you need to get the lead to a salesperson or a technician.
Wow. I love it. So you had mentioned that you guys are going to be nonstop automation soon because that more closely aligns with the work that you do and the value you're bringing to your clients. What other changes do you see happening in the industry that you're already preparing for, besides a name change and more clarity on the work that you do? What are some other things you think are going to be happening here with these contractors here in the future?
Well, I think for the most part, and people will hate me for saying this, I think CRMs are fairly outdated at this point. I mean, the last time I looked at our pipeline was like in a meaningful way was like a year ago. I mean, everybody, I already know that where they are is being handled by automation, right? You hear a lot of talk about AI agents, and stuff like that. Salesforce is now Agentforce, or they're starting Agentforce, Yeah, that's basically what we already do. And that's basically, passing off, creating an automation from one AI to the next, right? So basically okay, well, once a new lead comes in, and when in marketing talk, a new lead to me is somebody that has not yet scheduled. So once a new lead comes in, what's happening, right? Like, so you got to have an AI that's basically an AI agent that's going to schedule that person in. All right. And then once that booking has happened, what happens then? There needs to be some sort of a pass off to another type of AI that's going to basically then remind them of their appointments, take care of any customer service that happens along the way, right? So I think that there's going to be a lot of AI agent software where they're going to try to make it easy for you to create your own AI agents. I don't think it will ever be a good fix for the mass public because people, I think for the most part, are looking for billion-dollar ideas. And so they create software. And I don't think software is going to be the solution. But I mean, for us, like, we're not focused on software as much as we're focused on helping people use technology. And I think that that's really going to be where the need is. I mean, it's not as cool because it's not as lucrative, but it's what people actually need. It's like, okay, I have this thing. I don't know what to do with it. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, so I think that finding people to help other people use technology is going to be a fairly big wave. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many things to talk about, man. It's like, and you have quantum computing, and it's like, for right now.
It's a big new world out there for sure. And that's why I asked, like, where's the future of it? But I like your response in that it's less about the one software platform like a CRM, and it's more about this systems integration and starting to connect things together, which it sounds like that's your expertise. That's your world. That's what you guys are doing over at FunnelPros and Nonstop Automation.
Yeah, I think that all of these tools, there's just nonstop tools, no pun intended, nonstop tools coming out all the time to try to solve a different thing. And that's not what's needed. The tools don't solve the problems unless you have a full understanding of what the tools are made of. I mean, imagine like I asked you, you ran a construction company and I called you and I said, I want to build a house, and you just mailed me a hammer. I mean, like, that's literally what these like AI tools and these automation tools do. They do nothing but give you the tool, and they're like, all right, good luck. Here's an FAQ section that will kind of walk you through how to set this up. But I mean, if you don't have an expert, that is going to basically set it up for your business, you're going to run into a lot of problems, and you'll get probably discouraged very quickly, and you'll probably just call it off, right? And be like, you know what, forget it. Too many problems. It's supposed to make my life easier. It's just making it harder. And I think that that's basically what's going to happen. There's going to be this like kind of pushback from AI for a little bit. People are going to get sick of it because all of these people are selling AI tools that don't really show people how to use them. And it's going to backfire, and people are going to get sick of it, and they're going to go back to people for a little bit. That's a random kind of assumption. That's my guess for at least a little bit, right? At least for like, maybe a year from now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you're in that world. And Greg, this has been great. I've learned a lot about just the integration and the importance of really thinking through the system for following up. If our listeners want to know more, if they want to learn about what you're up to, maybe they want to connect with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
If you go to our website right now is funnelpros.ai. By the time you hear this, maybe it's nonstopautomation.com. I don't know. Either way, it'll redirect.
Yep.
Our website has a fairly lengthy amount of words on it. And hey, if you want to make this easier, you can just take our website and drop it in GPT and tell it to analyze and give you a brief summary about what we do. We also have a great YouTube channel, if I do say so myself. I mean, we're not like some influential, I think, platform, but like what we talk about in our YouTube videos are highly niche topics specifically dedicated to automation and AI for residential home service businesses. It could not get more niche if you tried. I would say that we are on the forefront and of everything having to do with this. So that's a really good place to learn more. And if you were to book a demo, which is like not something people love to do, but our demo specialists, they're not salespeople. Like they don't care if you sign up. Like they just like talking about it. And I've already told everybody, you are brand ambassadors. You are not salespeople. Like, just try to help people out. If you can't help them, try to send them somewhere that, maybe will help them. Maybe this is not going to address the problem they're looking to currently solve. So, and our team is super knowledgeable. So I'd say it's very hard to get technical support nowadays and get a straight answer about something. If you want to just get a very direct answer on how something works, signing up for a demo is probably, and our demo specialist will hate me for saying this, probably the best place for you to go. And our YouTube channel.
I appreciate that, Greg. Hey, thank you so much for being on the show today. I've really enjoyed it. Learned a lot. I know our listeners have as well.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me.
Ryan England here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.